As I was walking down the street one day, a man came up to me and asked me what the time was that was on my watch. Yeah, and I said, does anybody really know what time it is? Does anybody really care? If so, I can't imagine why. We've all got time enough to cry. I was walking down the street one day. A pretty lady looked at me and said her diamond watch had stopped cold dead. And I said, does anybody really know what time it is? Does anybody really care? If so, I can't imagine why. We've all got time enough to cry. And I was walking down the street one day, people running everywhere, being pushed and shoved by people trying to beat the clock. Oh, I just don't know. I don't know. And I said, yes, I said, does anybody really know what time it is? Does anybody really care? If so, I can't imagine why. We've all got time enough to die. Everybody's worried. I don't care about time. I don't care.
This is the Open Hearts and Minds Fellowship, a spiritual community of hope, courage, and compassion. I'm Christine Tata here to welcome you today as we gratefully meet in person on your special once-a-month Sunday to listen together, talk together afterward, and share refreshments and beverages in the next room after the service. But this community of faith also meets virtually most Sundays and convenes today in the virtual world. I greet you all who are here with us that way. And everyone is invited to this fellowship, from the curious to the committed, because Open Hearts and Minds, OM, is exploring the future of church life in the virtual space while celebrating and honoring the traditions of encounters in the real world, staying connected, building relationships, and growing into the mission and purpose of this fellowship.
As we seek to live out that mission and purpose, we believe in demonstrating the values of hope, courage, and compassion with our actions in the world by working in ways that help and heal. So even though, as a pledging congregation, we support our congregation without passing the plate each Sunday, we still enjoy supporting local and global causes that need help with additional gifts. That is why you will see the basket in our community room, so our reach can extend into the world in substantial ways. This month, we are donating to Sunrise Church and their Homeless Navigation Center. And thank you, Debbie, for the posters that you make for our causes. In our practice, we light a chalice each time we gather as a symbol of the light of truth and the warmth of love. And as we light this light, we are all invited to say these meditative words from an anonymous source in Berlin, Germany.
Light comes through a gap in the curtains, the promise of morning. Light comes through the flaws of our lives, the promise of love. And now this morning, as we join the worship that is already in progress and has been going on for thousands of years, I want to invite you to continue to settle into this moment of timeless time by teaching you a simple Hindu chant for peace. Ironically enough, it begins with Om, which is your initials, actually. First, we have to set down a rhythm. I need somebody who has nimbler fingers than I do to volunteer to do this. That's all you need to do. And keep that going for the whole time. That was a little fast the way I did it. A little slower. That's good. That's good. Now I'm going to teach two parts. Low voices. Keep going. Low voices, male or female, want you to sing this. Om. 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 That just one note. Om. Keep going. Om. Higher voices sing this. Om Shanti Shanti Om. Om Shanti Shanti Om. Om Shanti Shanti Om. Om Shanti Shanti Om. Keep going. Om Shanti Shanti Om. Close your eyes. Om Shanti Shanti Om. 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 Om Shanti Om. Om.
From T.S. Eliot's The Little Gidding in the Four Quarters. We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. Through the unknown remembered gate, when the last of earth left to discover is that which was the beginning. At the source of the longest river, the voice of the hidden waterfall, and the children in the apple tree not known, because not looked for, but heard, have heard in the stillness between two waves of the sea.
Yesterday, a child came out to wander, caught a dragonfly inside a jar. Fearful when the sky was full of thunder, seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came, and go round and round and round in a circle again. Then the child moved 10 times round the seasons, skated over 10 clear frozen streams. Words like when you're older must appease him, and promises of someday make his dreams. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came, and go round and round and round in a circle again. 16 springs and 16 summers gone now. Cartwheels turn to car wheels through the town, and they tell him, take your time, it won't be long now, till you drag your feet too slow, the circle's down. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came, and go round and round and round in a circle again. So the years spin by, and now the boy is 20. Though his dreams have lost some grandeur coming true, there'll be new dreams, maybe better dreams, and plenty before the last revolving year is through. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came, and go round and round and round in a circle again. And go round and round and round in a circle again.
And now for our second reading, I have something for you from a surprise poet, the former President Jimmy Carter. First, I should probably explain why I'm suddenly here rather than there. The internet was doing its usual shenanigans, especially when you want to do something important, that happens. And so it's still Sunday, but I've come home to my place to do the sermon and the rest of the service for you. And by the magic of that internet, if it does cooperate this time, the tech people who volunteer their time will splice something together and provide it for you through more magic, which we hope will work this time. So we're going on with our service. You can imagine that we've had a lovely pastoral prayer together. I'm skipping that part to go right to the next reading because it is a lovely thing called A Committee of Scholars Describe the Future Without Me. Here's what Jimmy Carter has written. Some shy professors, forced to write about a time that's bound to come when my earthly life is done, describe my earthly ultimate demise in lovely euphemistic words, invoking pleasant visions of burial rites with undertakers, friends, kinfolk, pious pastors gathered round my flowery casket, eyes uplifted, breaking new semantic ground by not just saying, I have passed on, joined my maker, or gone to the promised land, but stating the lamented fact in the best and gentlest terms that I, now dead, have recently reduced my level of participation. I loved that. I loved Jimmy Carter, and we lament his recent loss to our country's service. His recent, reduced level of participation. In the congregation this morning, in the real, we responded to pastoral prayer with a rousing chorus of amen as sung in the movie Lilies of the Field. I must say that small congregation did almost as well as the nuns did in the movie. But now it's time, since we've changed the venue and we've changed the game, I'm going to start right away talking about the grammar of time. Give my message today for the second time, but the first time for some of you. I've called the sermon, the message, the grammar of time, past perfect, present tense, future conditional. And my premise is that time, as we know it, is a construct, doesn't really exist in the great eternity of everything. But for us, locally, it's God's way of keeping everything from happening all at once. Now, a mystic, a person who sees beyond this earthly place, they will say that one day the omega point will be realized and everything will all happen at once. It'll be the end times and it will be something spectacular. But you know what? That's not happening just yet, I don't think. But we invoked it earlier in the service, in the real, when we sang Om Shanti 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 Om. And we did our best to imagine a time when it would be world peace, where everyone would have peace. And we did that earlier today so that we would feel safe when we talk about the grammar of time, because it's a little bit scary sometimes to think about the past. It's definitely scary to think about the present and the future conditional. Well, we'll talk about that. I wonder why I decided that past perfect made sense. And some of you are wondering why she's conjugating verbs at all. I like conjugating verbs, and I'm studying Spanish right now and trying to learn it. And they're conjugating verbs. And I'm thinking, well, that's great, but I'm using Babbel and Duolingo, and they don't always show you how to conjugate them. I want to know. I want to write them down and drill. You don't get to do that. Anyway, I'm a storyteller. Language is for storytelling, and time is how we tell our story. So let's conjugate that verb. Why is the past perfect? Why would I say that? Surely we all remember times in our past that were far from perfect. Remember that person that said that thing to you that you cannot get out of your head, and you just go over it and over it until you know it's a groove in your brain. Remember that time you did that thing, it was clumsy, or it was stupid, or worse. And despite all your efforts at good self-talk, you berate yourself for that. You're mean to your friend. You are your friend, and you're mean to them. Why? How is the past perfect? Or what if you've had a loss? A pretty significant loss. And I'm guessing that everyone in the room this morning, and everyone, every single one who is listening or viewing this message right now has had a loss. Hey, you don't get to be human and not have a loss. If we were in the room together, I would say, can I get an amen, please? So how do we get over that? How do we go to our past and reconcile it? What do we do? Well, we do it a lot of ways. How do we get over those losses and traumas? With therapy. Therapy's good. Rationalization, that's good. Blanking it out entirely is another way. I say that to tell you that for me, the last couple of years have been almost erased entirely. And I'm not talking about, oh, I forgot where my keys are, or, a few things like that. I had a significant trauma a couple of years ago when my husband passed away, and I feel your sympathy. I know it. And I know that those of you who have had a similar loss, or even a worse one, know what I'm talking about. I didn't even realize that I was going through the motions for 2 years. I had jobs. I preached. I have been told now things that we did with friends that I don't remember doing at all. It's a little scary because I'm a sort of a 12-step person. I think I'm going to have to do my steps all over again. I don't know who I'm going to have to make amends to this time. We'll see. But I decided, since I've been now in San Antonio after selling my house, I'm going to do my best to recapture those memories. I don't want to lose them. Thank God I don't have a progressive illness that takes your memory. I just have a big old trauma to get over, so I'm going to do it. So last weekend, I took a road trip. I went up to the North Dallas area where I had lived for a long time and where I have a lot of friends still. Got my little red Kia Soul. I drove way too fast. And by golly, I think I went fast enough to go back in time. They say you can do that, and I think I did. I drove up through New Braunfels, where my home church is, where I've been a member for a couple of years. That was a little bit back in time. And then I drove through San Marcos, where my husband and I moved in 2017. So suddenly I'm in 2017. Now, there's my exit. That's where I used to get off. That's where my house was. Kept going. A little slower there because there's speed traps, but I went pretty fast through Austin, where I also lived for a time and served a church. Still going back in time, I get to the South Lake area up in North Texas, and I met with a friend that I've known since 2005. I can't do math very well, but it's a lot of years. And she has been my friend, and we were involved in a church start there. Now I'm, what is that, maybe 42 part? I don't know. But I've gone back in time, reconnected with her. She shared with me a few memories, and some of them came back. I helped her with a few things. That's my excuse for making the trip. Then I drove over to Dallas, spent a couple of nights with people I have known since I met my husband, and that was in 1977. Back in time some more. Now I'm in my 20s. In your 20s, everything is open to you. It's terrifying. It's terrifying, but exhilarating at the same time. And the couple that have the house where I was staying are marvelous, and they're still my friends. Now, the man, I'll call him Matthew, he and my husband had been in high school together. That carbon dates him back to the 1960s and 70s, when the country was in very similar turmoil to what it's in now. They responded, my husband and him, to the turmoil in very different ways. My husband dropped out of school, made a lot of trouble. Actually, I think it was mutual that he leave the school, made a lot of trouble, and his friend joined the armed forces. Thankfully, he got out alive. Thankfully, my husband later got a GED, went to college on his own. His dad gave him $50 and said, "Here you go." My husband turned into a decent human being. So did his friend. They all got over things. They got through the turmoil, partly because they had friends. They had connections. The two of them had two other friends, and those four guys stuck together. That was a lesson right there. Fast forward now, we got married, and out of that came families. Then I went, after spending that time, I went to another friend's house in Dallas. I was couch surfing. It was fun. That friend we met when she sold us a house that we loved. And she became much more than a realtor. She understands home. She understands values. And when we talked, I confided in her that I have applied for positions and thinking of going into the Peace Corps. Well, she had served in the Peace Corps years ago. This is cosmic stuff to me. It's cosmic because it's relationally oriented. Finally, I made my way home, going back into the future, back into my present tense. Did I mention the present is tense? You all know that. Why? Well, I think it's because, I'll just blurt it out. I think it's because now the world is vulnerable to complete and total destruction, and there are just a few people who can do that. That's new. That's never happened before. We have baseline fears, and we know it. We have anxiety all over the place, but I heard somebody say anxiety is just fear in a tiara. We take medicine for it. But the other thing we can do for that is learn what I learned on my little magical mystery memory tour. I did not recapture a lot of factual memories. I still have that work to do, and I'll do it at home. I'll go through journals and calendars, and I'll piece it together. Hopefully, I'll get enough of a timeline put together. I have some life left, but most of it's behind me, and I really don't want to lose it. The main thing I learned in the future conditional is that what we do now has consequences. It does. And the choices we make now will determine the quality of those consequences. All the choices people make have consequences. But you know what? As a minister, I hear people talk about the way they spend their present time. And the way we talk about present time. We talk about it like it's a commodity. And in a capitalist society, I guess that's right. We got to have some time. We got to make some time. If we do something fun, we think we've wasted time. Maybe you can buy some time. Got to get some time. But at the end of people's lives, most of them say they wish they had spent more time with the people they love. That's what they say. So I came home and I'm looking at the future conditional. It is conditional. It's conditional. Things we do have consequences. But the other thing about the conditional tense is what we could do. I don't know who wrote this little couplet, but I say it all the time. Of all sad words of tongue and pen, the saddest are these. It might have been. It's hard when you lose people, things, your money, your jump shot, the dexterity of your hands. I called neighbors down below, and they came to help me set up. I do not lose. I win or I learn. What I learned on the Magical Mystery Memory Tour is that knowing the facts about things that happened in your past isn't what makes it perfect. It's the relationships and the love that you shared that make it perfect. And the fact that there's not a single thing you can do about it. Might as well call it perfect. I learned that what makes the present tense is believing that you have control over things you don't have control over. And choosing to be upset about that. Instead of realizing we're just all on the same great Mandela, we're all on the same wheel of time. We'll get off soon enough. We all do. But meanwhile, if those who believe in reincarnation are correct, we need to be nice to each other because in some future or former life, that person might have been your mother. And as far as the future conditional goes, I think about the fact that out of all of those things that I've lost, and all the losses we might feel right now as a country, if we are interested in things like ethics and inclusion, I don't believe we have really lost those things. I don't believe that. When I think about my own loss of the love of my life, I remember what Dylan Thomas wrote. Though lovers be lost, love will not, and death shall have no dominion. So my parting message, I didn't say this morning in the room, but I'm feeling feisty right now. Here's what I want listeners, seekers, the curious, the committed, the in-between, to go out and do now. I want them to remember what my denomination, the United Church of Christ, says. Love wins. Straight up. We get to kick death in the face because we have faith that love wins. I believe that because out of the turmoil of the 1960s and my husband's own trouble, I met him and we were good enough to go and we raised two fine children. I'll call them what we were going to name them, Michelangelo and Mercedes. We didn't name them that. You're welcome. Love wins. Out of turmoil, out of problems, out of tension, people get together and love each other harder because they know they have to. And that means that we are able now to imagine a better life. I've been talking a long time, but I've enjoyed sharing this message with you. I hope it brings somebody some kind of hope, because that's all we need sometimes to get by. And now it's the end of the service, and so in their practice, they have lit a chalice. You'll remember they lit an electronic one. But by the magic of conflating time and space and sending me here now, I get to extinguish it. And now it's an actual real flame. I'm turning the pages to get to where their chalice lighting or chalice extinguishing words are. As we imagine everything we can, I'm going to say, we extinguish this flame but we do not extinguish the light of truth. And now, go forth, understanding again your task and your privilege. And I will add, we shall not cease from exploration. And the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no country. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. No, and no religion too. Oh, imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. We'll be as one. Imagine all possessions. I wonder if you care. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of men. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us.